Well, happy Monday, Sonder family. I'm so glad to welcome you to your weekly setup, our first weekly setup for the new month of June. Here we are. Kind of summertime is hanging out with us. Yes, Radhika, isn't that a fun June to-do list? Right? Y'all grab a screenshot if you like that. There's some fun stuff on there. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I'm coming to you from the Dallas, Texas area, and I get to be your facilitator this morning. You have Team Jennifer on the call. Jennifer Krippner is my co-pilot this morning, and she is popping on the screen, giving y'all a wave. And Jennifer, I'm going to go ahead and ask you if you will share your news for Sonder family.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. I am located here in Minnesota, so it's a great day to be here in the lovely state. But I'm also hosting an in-person Sonder Social, and it's going to be located in Stillwater at the Stillwater Public Library. If you're familiar with Minnesota, it's right outside the Twin Cities area on the St. Croix River, and it's going to be June 11th from 4:15 to 5:45. And I'll post in the chat a link to sign up. It is a Wednesday, June 11th, in the late afternoon into the evening. So if you're able to come, we'd love to have you. Um, Even if the date doesn't work and you'd rather have a weekend later in June, please RSVP and just note that you're not able to come and a weekend would work better for you. And then we can just see who's all excited. So Becca, yes, drive over from Wisconsin. If you're from Iowa, drive up from Iowa. We welcome anybody that's willing to come. So again, I'll post the details in the chat. So good to see you all. Thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer. We're really excited about another offering of, an in real life Sonder time together. It's pretty cool. So make sure your chat is set to everyone. I'm so excited about our time together today because I have a bunch of, completely new slides to show you, some examples to show you. Many of you know that decluttering was on my list of things to do last month for kind of embracing our theme of simplicity. And I cleaned my phone camera off or my my photos out, and I found a ton of new things to share with you from maybe 3 and 4 years ago. So, I'm really excited about that. So if you see something today that captures your eye, take a screenshot. If you're brand new, you may see some new things to you or like, oh, I didn't think about using my journal like that. Take a screenshot, kind of make your little folder full of ideas to utilize the journal to work for you. And speaking of new folks, if there's anybody here for the very first time, drop that me in the chat so that we can all give you a really big welcome. And I'm seeing lots of familiar names. Our kind of, I like to call it our Monday morning crew. So you're here. Oh, Radhika, I love that you hold out 17 back. That's amazing. Well, I'm still on a journey with my garage, but never ending, right? But at least we're trying. So I did also share this slide. Mayha has some live events this week. They're all free. They're about 45-minute long webinars, and they will be on Tuesday and Thursday. And I saw a question in the chat about, is this about the personalized life coach app? And yes, you will get to see that in action for this. However, I will say anytime Meha comes on and does a webinar, you're going to catch that excitement about the Silk and Sonder journey, and you will glean information about burnout, about balance, about from being stuck to going to unstoppable. So I think it's always valuable. So even if you're already on that app and you're getting very familiar with how that works, come and just get excited because Mayha will be excited. about, what Silk and Sonder can do in our lives, what that can look like paired with the life coach, but also just that good information about thinking about who we are and what that looks like through the lens of burnout or through the lens of analysis paralysis. And so you can scan in that QR code. Jennifer's also sharing the link to sign up for that in the chat. It's in the Eventbrite section, or the Silk and Sandra Eventbrite section. There's our community guidelines. When we are together, we always put these up. Oh, thank you, Victoria. And we want to create these healthy, safe spaces for ourselves, but in, our community. So we do just have this reminder, refresh yourself, if you need to, but it really is about taking care of yourself and our new theme of purpose. And y'all, I don't know how these themes have hit for you, but I feel like our themes have really kind of been this pathway to where, as we've gone through the last few months, it's like, oh, I'm so glad we did this one before we did this one, and then how it works, and looking at like what simplicity did, and really considering how we prioritize those things in our life, no matter, places, stuff, our choices through that lens of simplicity really kind of paved this road into now let's look at purpose. I feel like there's just been this beautiful thread woven through our themes so far. So I'm very excited about this month and looking at purpose. My degree was in human development and family studies, and so I'm a big advocate or fan of considering ages and stages of our life. It's not just about ages and stages of children and the milestones they meet. I think we also do that as adults. Well, I know we also do that as adults, but we don't often stop and think about like what does ages and stages look like for grown-ups, and as we journey, and I'm kind of, in that last third of my life. So the things that I see through the lens of purpose for me might be very different from someone who is experiencing life in their 20s or 30s or 40s and 50s. So I love the idea of purpose being interwoven into the ages and stages of our own personal journeys. So this morning we are kicking off with our mind map. If you happen to be here for the first time, this is a deeper dig into the theme for the month, and it's a bonus prompt you get for coming to these setup socials each week. And it's not found in your journal. So you're going to be invited to find a space to do this. In that, we'll do our rosebud thorn reflection, and then we'll do our weekly setup. So for week one, we're going to invite you, go find that space that you want to claim as your purpose mind map. You may decide to do this on that little scratch pad that's beside each one of the weekly spreads from week to week. We will be doing a 4-week dive into our purpose mind map this month. So you'll set up 4 spaces. You might want to go to your definition page. You might want to go to page 38. Use sticky notes. Maybe you've got an extra journal. I went to a notes page and I'm trying something a little different. So at the monthly setups, we create an acrostic poem. That's one of our opening options to kind of get our juices flowing about around our theme. And I used my acrostic poem in the middle of my mind map this month. And I'm going to try to yes, there will be a bonus mind map for that 5th weekend that we'll be exploring. I'm going to use, that was a good question, Maggie. I'm going to use the words that I came up with through kind of thinking about where I am in my age and stage of life. Those are the words that spoke to me that helped me create my acrostic. And I'm going to use those words to sort of inform my mind map this month. And so that might be something that kind of speaks to you. Our week one is list 5 things that you would put on a bucket list. Now, this can be more than five, but we're asking you to maybe think about your top five and why. The next step is why are these things important for you to experience? And I have something really cool to share with you. In the Journal of Palliative Medicine, there was this study posted that was done by the Stanford Medicine Bucket List Research Project. And there were over 3,000 participants in this, and they said, make your bucket list. And as people made their bucket list, they found that these were the things that really popped up for the majority of the folks in the study. So, a desire to travel, accomplish a personal goal, achieve a life milestone. There's that ages and stages piece. Spend quality time with friends and family, achieve financial stability, do a daring activity. Those were kind of the recurring themes of a bucket list when they looked at all these different items. But what's really cool is this bottom part, what they got out of this study, that they found that knowledge of a patient's bucket list served as a roadmap to guide that healthcare team in providing personalized care and making treatment decisions that enhanced their life goals. And I thought, wow, that is powerful. That looking at someone's bucket list to inform the care that someone would receive. That's huge. That's solid. That's great science. And so that I wanted to, the reason I share that with you is to encourage you to always have your bucket list and advocate for yourself through that lens of those things that you want in your list. And your list can be evolving and changing as you do. So I just thought that was a very powerful call out to the importance of a personal bucket list. So, as we think about this bucket list and consider it this week, I've got a bunch of categories that you could kind of maybe look at to inspire what goes on your bucket list. I also thought this was a really good time to stop shooting ourselves and really think about what we want, not what we think we should do or shouldn't do, but truly what is within our hearts, our souls. What do we want to do? That reminder of, kind of taking care of ourselves first, quit shitting on ourselves. And then I was going to share, you could do just a fun, quick bucket list for like this season. Here's some inspiration with this all purpose summer bucket list. And I was going to share my bucket list, what I came up with. And so my why behind those things are the words in the red. And a lot of those words in the red are informed by my acrostic poem. But the 5 things for me, I wanna travel to the motherlands, like Norway and Scotland, and just go have that appreciation for, the my life history. I want to celebrate our 50th anniversary. Now, that's a milestone that Jim and I don't have control over. Well, I mean, we do have some ownership of that, but I mean, this far in, we're neither one of us are going anywhere. Maybe there may be other plans that God has for us. But I'm really hoping to meet that milestone, and then my that when I meet that, I'm going to change it to 60 and hit that to show that resilience in our life, in our marriage. I want to take a solo trip. I've never done that. I've done little solo dates, but I want to take a little solo trip. And that's gonna like embrace the idea of peace and then the pride for myself. That's my why. I want to do something a little scary to me, sort of scary. And it could be like I've never been on a horse. I want to ride a horse. Or eat something just really weird. Like you watch those shows and all like, I would never do that. And I think that helps me embrace strength and opportunity. And I want to take a pottery class to see if there's potential there for something that will feed a passion for me. So, I'm going to go back through those slides, Patricia. No worries. I'm going to give you time to work on this and start dreaming about your bucket list. We'll get started this morning. It's possible you may sit down and fill out a whole page today as you start thinking about the power of your bucket list. Share in the chat what comes up for you. So thank you for considering your bucket list. And I just think like the next time I go in for my wellness check, like I'm going to take my bucket list with me and say, put this in my in my folder because I think it can really help me, help my doctor and me make plans to, stay active so I can hit some of the things on the bucket list. And I actually am going to sit down and make a bigger bucket list, the one that is a little more encompassing of all the things I want to do. And I suggested, this bucket list for summer is a great go-to if you're building a bingo board for just summertime. When we had our live meetup for the Dallas Fort Worth area, we actually built a summer bingo together so that as we, the idea was as we mark things off, we would think about one another in our local area. So, yeah, always feel like you can take a screenshot and save the things. This is also being recorded so you can access it later. And I love we've got, Nathania, when you learn to drive a motorcycle, I want to see a picture of that in Sonder Club. And Maggie shared, she's got some bucket list things that she wants to do before 30. So I love that, she's embracing kind of that first third of her life in that lens. So again, our bucket list, we have permission to change it. We have permission to update it. So I encourage everybody to really embrace the idea of that bucket list. Oh, Kelly's going to get a tiger. I love that. So now I'm going to invite you to turn to page 30 so we can do our rosebud thorn reflection based on our week, on the week we had last week. And, the roses, buds, and thorns, this is such a great exercise in gratitude. We talk about this each week. The roses are those good things, the things that are bringing you joy, that things you're proud of. It could be, I took my vitamins every day last week. That can be small. It doesn't have to be, you know, huge. But what are you proud of? What is the highlight? And then the buds are the things, the opportunities that are coming our way, or the things that we're looking forward to in our life. And then, of course, those thorns are the things that are difficult and tricky, and we don't necessarily want to celebrate them, but we're going to claim them, put them in paper. There's power in that. But speaking of the thorns, you're here with your community, and this quote made me think of y'all, so I put it on there. In hard times, people don't want to be told to look on the bright side. They want to know that you're on their side. Even if you can't help them feel better, you can help them feel seen. And I think that's what we do here. We always say, come as you are, no matter how you're feeling. Because the best way to support others is not to cheer them up, it's to show up. And you have done that today with your presence. So for me, my rose was my little grandson had his last baseball game, the last one, and of course it was wonderful because like they finally all got it right, the last game. But we had so much fun just cheering on those kids that we've watched grow through this whole season. They're all 6 and 7, so that was a lot. It was just fun, a lot of joy. And then, y'all, I saw this little clip it on Roses, Buds, and Thorns, and this guy introduced the idea of a thud, or he said you could also call it a born. And I thought this was great. It's a combination of your thorn, that challenge, and a plan of action. And he says, when you can put those together, you get a thud. You can see an opportunity within that challenge. And he says, I call those my thuds. So I loved that. I wanted to share that with you. And I have a thud this week. I did something to my left hip area last week. I've been kind of gimping around. I think it might have been at yoga, but I told Jennifer it could have also just been reaching in the pantry the wrong way. So I did something, been taking my ibuprofen, but I'm also very aware that I haven't been taking good care of myself. I haven't been eating well, and my sleep is really bad this week. So my something from this thorn of not feeling great is I'm going to embrace the bud of focusing on my nutrition and rest this week. I'm looking forward to that. What does that look like? Meal planning and really holding myself accountable for sleep. So I've come up with my thud for the week. And oh my gosh, Nathaniel, I'll speak to the egg drop. I used to do that when I taught, where you create carriers for eggs to make sure that they're protected, and then you do like the drop and see how successful students are in their design of that. I love egg drop. That's so fun. I used to do that with kindergartners. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. Let me put on some music while you do your reflection and think about if maybe you have a thud. Is there an opportunity within that challenge, within that thorn? And then we will get on with our setup. Oh my goodness, Kelly, I feel you with the too much YouTube. It's really easy to go down those rabbit holes and watch things. One of the things that I love, Kimberly L, one of our Sonder family, will I've seen where she's done her having an activity tracker and she gives herself rewards for completing what she wanted to do. And one of her rewards is like, she plugs in an hour of the mindless scrolling or going and the social media, and that's like her reward, right? Like, so maybe you can give yourself rewards for doing things, and it can be watching YouTube. Thanks for sharing, y'all. Thank you for remembering this is a good safe space to let us know what's going on in your life, and we are all honored just to be here for each other and showing up, so thank you for that. We're going to turn now to pages 32 and 33 for our weekly planner. And again, I've got lots of things that came from my camera roll that got cleaned off to share with you this morning. I'm so excited. Last night it was really funny because Leanne said, "Oh my gosh, that's my activity tracker from like 3 years ago." And I was like, "I told you I cleaned off my camera roll." So here I've got 4 pages, completed pages, just for you to look at. I always like to I feel like I love when, it's like show and tell. And you can see like these are set up for what these folks needed. There are no goals on the one that you see on the left there. They have put their rhythms and routines there, their AM and their PM routine, so that it's front of mind and center there. And so I love that that's that priority. And then kind of did semi goals and to-dos with the me, create, and be present. So thought that was really neat. Looks like they are not going to set goals for their habit and activity tracker. They're just going to track, right? But there's not a goal set. The one on the right, look at those matches. Was that one of y'all? Because that is so cute. Oh, Heather, thank you for posting that. We love that. Again, I love how you set that page up, which is why we're looking at that. And then you can see the one on the right, the to-dos have been turned into that bingo. We talk a lot about the gamification of things in our life, and that when you do that, we think that's fun and all that kind of stuff, but you're actually doing some really good brain work because you're engaging things like you're getting the good endorphins, the good serotonin, those good things that are dumping into your brain when you gamify your life. So that bingo board is a really great thing to do. And let's see here. We've got 2 more examples. This one really jumped out at me, and I remember when I snapped it, that honeycomb for the weekly instead of to-dos, they've changed this space to the weekly joys. We always say you are invited to use the pages just as they are, but you are also encouraged to change anything that speaks better to your life that particular week. And so I love that person is leaning into the weekly joys, and then they have one goal, and this thing called audits, and then there are those 3 things behind that. No goal set, number wise. They've got their habits and activities that they want to track. The one on the right did set goals for their habits and activities. They want to do things a certain number of times. Their to-do list is actually a need to-do list, a want to-do list, and a wish to-do list. So, again, I always love show and tell. So I feel like that's what we're doing with all these amazing images that you all share from your life. There's a restaurant in Austin, Texas called El Arroyo, and they have funny sayings on that big marquee sign every day. And this one just came across this week. It actually could have been from my camera roll. Now I can't remember, but I love that. Is it considered a day off if you're having an off day? I thought that fit perfectly with how we start thinking about how we want to feel this week, what feelings we want to embrace. So I will encourage you to grab a word, grab a statement, grab a mantra, or maybe an affirmation that spoke to you last week. Do you have a great sticker? Do you have a theme for the week? What do you want for this week? Start dropping that in the chat. What is that saying? Of course, mine is I want nourishment and I want rest. I want to feel nourished and I want to feel rested. Nathania says intentional. Great word, finishing up all the things, right? She's gonna go to that graduation ceremony. I always cry when I hear prompt and circumstance. It doesn't even matter if I know someone. Strong, kind, and abundant. I love the word abundant. Happy, healthy, active, beautiful, grateful, and sunny. I love these combo of words. Maggie says I'm sorry, Megan says she wants to feel in the moment, and then Carly, full and blooming. Perfect time of year for that. So, y'all keep dropping those in the chat, and we're gonna take that word or those feelings or that mantra into setting up our goals and our to-dos for the week. Now you just did your start, stop, and continue box. Go check that and see if there's something from there that can inform what you do this week. It could go in your goals or your to-dos. It could also maybe be something that you could pop into your mind body health plan, right? So go use that. Let's weave these pages together. Look at the intentions that you set. Let's put those intentions into play through our goals and our to-dos and our habits and activities. Was there anything you left behind in May that you want to bring forward? Put that into your June to-dos. Now, remember, you don't have to have goals. It's okay. You can repurpose the space. There's lots of ways to repurpose over there. Of course, not an all-inclusive list. You know what you need, so take that. I also like the idea of no goals. Like, what are you going to eliminate so that things are, your life is serving you the best? Okay, so like I said, here's some examples, some new examples for you to take a look at, how folks have taken their word and then dropped that into their goals. Um, the one on the left and the one on the right both have their goals and then kind of the way they're going to embrace those goals. uh, Again, the same sort of idea with the one on the right, the one on the left. I'm doing the three areas that I want to work on, and then here's how I'm going to make that happen. So they've kind of really expanded those goals there. um, Examples of setting those three goals, they show up in your to-dos, how they show up in your to-dos. And you can see how these are connected. So the goal of, the mind, body, soul, you slide over to the to-dos. That's how they're going to do that. It's color coded for the one there on the bottom right. 30 minutes of reading per day is going to help them meet that goal of catching up on reading instead of watching. The creativity goal is being supported by daily drawings and including something from the bingo. So obviously they're interweaving things that are in this journal. And then their passion projects. They're going to order the collage supplies that they need. Oh, Janine, happy birthday to your granddaughter. And then I love that, simple. You can keep it so simple. Look at the one on the upper left. Just, there's the three goals: be silly, be honest, be kind. A sticker that embraced that. And then completed the to-dos with just breathe. I love that. Um, we've got, need, want, wish, need, want, hope. Um, we've got a couple of bingo boards here to gamify our life. The to-do list on the bottom right, it's just that evening reminder of what my routine needs to look like. So love that. And then you can repurpose the to-do list into other types of lists. And we actually have a to-do list in our journal this month. So that's going to be part of our social that happens on Wednesday evening. But kind of digging deeper into that to-do list. Maybe you have a to-don't list. Are you trying to eliminate? Go look at that stop box in the start, stop, and continue. Could that go here? Maybe you have that dread list of all the things you've been avoiding and you're going to knock it out this week, or perhaps you need to embrace how to be. Then we're going to drop down to the bottom part of this page, our habit and activity tracker. And I want you to notice the graphic that shows, this one big leap, one big jump can be hard, but when you break things down into smaller steps, it's easy. So we encourage you to break things down into those small steps, and that's such a great use of using your habit and activity tracker, right? And so here's like some small ways you can put things into your tracker this week. You spend 5 minutes outside, 5 minutes. It could turn into an hour, but it's a small step, right? If that's something that you're striving to do. Here are some great self-care ideas that could go in this habit and activity tracker, or maybe it will show up as a repurpose in your menu plan, or maybe this will go in, some of these could go into your mind body healthcare space this week. Here, again, some great ways to set this tracker up. Look at the one on the upper left with all those cute little stickers that support each one of the activities that will be tracked. Um, the one I was referring to with Leanne going to Disneyland, she's written that on that Friday. So she's not going to track those things on Friday, and she's written why right there. And the funny thing is, she was at last night's social and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to Disneyland this week too." So I love the serendipitous moment there. There's some simple habits to add. Again, any of these things can go either in your tracker or perhaps you put it in your mind body healthcare this week. Um, Here are some ways of utilizing that tracker where you circle the actual days that you want something to happen. Maybe you've set that goal of, reading 7 days, meditating 3. And so they've circled the days they want that to happen and they've set goals. But there's only 3 things on that tracker. You don't have to fill in all the lines. And again, you don't have to track with a certain number of goals, but you absolutely can if that's what speaks to you. And then there's some habit tracking ideas if you're looking for some inspiration. So while we work on this whole page, I'll go back through these examples and kind of, let us know what this week is calling you to do. And then we'll set up our next page. I love this chat that's happening about routines and rhythms and not, putting yourself painting yourself into a corner, right? To give yourself that flexibility to be okay with maybe things not happening. Don't be too restrictive on yourself. Everybody needs to take what they need, right? To feel like you're meeting your purposes for the week. So, thanks for all that talk about that. If you didn't get a chance to look, go scroll and see. There's some good stuff there. Now we're gonna pop over to our second page, our second half of our setup for the weekly pages. And again, show and tell of a couple of full pages of how folks have done this. Totally invited to use the pages just as they are printed, but we've got lots of repurposing ideas inspired by y'all. So you can see affirmations is going to go in this meal plan. You can tell this is an old image because do y'all, those of you who have been here for a while, remember that our meal plans used to say breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, and then it would repeat with BLDS all the way down. So washi tape is covering that up. That's how you know it's an older image. But I love, the affirmation page. I've used the meal planner often for my affirmations. We've got a chore list for the shopping list, but the person on the right's using their shopping list as a to-do list that month. Appointments, an appointment tracker is their meal planner. And then they've put some micro habits that have big results. They've written those in their Monday through Sunday mind body health plan. But also just that call out, look at the mind body health plan for the one on the left, demanding my voice be heard. How powerful is that? And to see that in writing, I love it. Lots of different ways to repurpose any of the spaces that you see on this page. So you may see some examples of how to repurpose the meal planner, but you may actually decide to take what you're seeing and put that on the shopping list. So this page has a lot of flexibility with it. Again, grab a screenshot of this list. I always say, this time of year, my shopping list is my garden tracker. All the tasks I need to do become a little garden bingo board, but it's something else when it's not gardening season. Let's look at this meal plan. Now, I love the one on the all the way over there on the right where it says, "What did you eat and drink?" And they're tracking everything. But look at this smaller one. So this person has used their mind body health plan. They're still doing a meal tracker, but this is their plan for the week of their main meal. So maybe that's their late meal in the day, and they've sort of put their plans there so that they could free up that meal planner for something else. Some great examples. You've seen this one on the left with the journal prompts before. Again, a great space for affirmations. Maybe it's your sort of a couple of things you want to do as far as a chore list is concerned. We have workout stats. The one in the middle looks like just all self-care, just moments of self-care. And then again, looking at those appointments that at a glance, I love this one because they've got their Sonder Social on Thursday. They're making sure that they meet that. Um, Y'all, I loved this this is like a little the one on the left, looks like a little relationship reflection. This person used it to answer little prompts about their boyfriend. So if there's maybe a relationship you want to highlight in your life with a parent, with a child, with your significant other, just that kind of daily reflection. I thought that was so brilliant. And I actually joked last night, my husband did his 2 knees and we've just been caregiving, and I maybe need to embrace, this idea for the week, do a little reflection on that. The one in the middle, just recording all the ways they're eating the rainbow as the week is going by, and they've color coded it. I love that. Awfully fun for our citrusy colored journal this time. Confidence for my soul. Here's leaning into the 7 types of rest on a daily basis, kind of focusing on that. I will go back through these while you're working on these pages. Some ideas for your mind body health plan space, or maybe some of these show up in your meal plan. Again, thinking about where we write our daily affirmations. Love the idea of picking an idea to do each day for your mind body health plan. Maybe not locking yourself in, but making a list of things that you can choose, like that bottom middle one. And then, y'all, the intentions check in. So if you are guilty of building these beautiful intentions and then not really checking back in with them, maybe this space is a weekly check-in like you can see this person did, the example on the right. So they're spiritual. Okay, I'm making progress in that. Physical, going well. Money needs attention. Personal needs attention. So I love that accountability with those in those intentions that we're doing. And hey, Holly, thank you for posting that. Again, it's an oldie, isn't it? I told y'all I cleaned out that camera roll. Here's some more. There's another relationship plan in the mind body health plan, the upper left one that you see there, which I love. I said I didn't even realize I had two kind of relationship things this week. So maybe that's telling me I need something in my life. I need to do that. And then we've got the shopping list. And again, it can be a shopping list, like there's food and then other that this person's done that. But some of these you've seen before. I love the social schedule is one of the shopping lists, which I kind of love that. We've got several bingos. What about a playlist bingo for the week? Or maybe that's a dance list and you do your favorite songs, things that give you energy in that shopping list. Love that. And always that social check-in. If you're feeling lonely, go check in on people and kind of track it and see who you've interfaced with in the week. And then just a shout out to that idea of our glimmers of life, the things that bring us joy, that mindful moment of slowing down and noticing. When you can incorporate glimmers in your life, look at all the things that happen for your wellness. It cues your nervous system that you are safe. It brings down those cortisol levels. That nervous system can be reshaped. It's like the opposite of triggers. It boosts your mental health. It helps you feel grounded, and I love the little, they're often free. It's about us slowing down and noticing those micro moments. So, as we work on this page, drop in the chat what you are loving. I kind of suggested, I found this graphic that someone else did. I am loving myself by. I kind of like that framing for this space during the month of purpose and thinking about, how am I loving myself? How am I taking care of myself? How does that feed into my purpose? So that's a suggestion for that space. Let's work on this and then we will close our time down together. There is no hour like a Sonder hour. It just flies, doesn't it? So I'm really proud of y'all for taking moments out of your life this morning to set yourself up for a fabulous first week of June for the consideration of your bucket list. Please work on that this week. You deserve to have that in your life and think about ways that you can love yourself. We would love to see, you share parts of your journal, the whole page, whatever you're comfortable with. You could end up seeing it in 3 years from now when I get it off my camera roll. So don't forget about that time with Meha this week. I'll be there at the daytime events in the chat, supporting that. We, of course, want to shout out to that personalized life coach. And then there's our Spotify playlist. I'll share that link in the chat as we exit. Y'all go make it a great day. Watch the chat right now. Jennifer's dropping a lot of the links that you might need to access this social or go find other things that are all Silk and Sonder. But community, thank you for gathering today. We'll see you soon.